For the last 3 years, I spent at least 10 hours per day on this desk almost every day. I really like the setup, but it's not perfect. It has some problems. And today, I thought we would take all of this stuff to bring it to the next level. Before we get started, let me quickly run you through the things that bother me about the current setup. First of all, I really don't like how there's a bunch of cables running down to the floor. This is problematic in two ways. First of all, it looks ugly, and second of all, it's super annoying when vacuuming. My robot vacuum actually tried to vacuum there a couple of days ago and almost pulled down the Mac Studio when pulling on one of the cables. So this definitely needs to be fixed. The reason that so many cables are running down here is that first of all, the Mac Studio lives down here, and obviously it needs to connect to all the peripherals, the speakers, etc. And so all the cables from any of these peripherals need to somehow run down to the Mac Studio. Secondly, the subwoofer that lives on the floor here acts as the speaker hub, which means that both of these speakers on the desk need to have cables running down to the subwoofer. And the same actually goes for the audio signal coming from this Scarlet II, again running down to the subwoofer. We're going to fix these issues by first of all taking the Mac Studio and mounting it directly underneath the desk so all the cables can go straight to it. Secondly, we're going to remove these speakers and upgrade them to a new set of monitor speakers. These served me well for the last 10 years, but it's time for an upgrade, and the new speakers will basically cover the entire frequency range and will live on the desk, so there will be no cables to them on the floor. This means that we'll reduce this cable mess on the floor to exactly 2 cables, one for power and one for Ethernet. The second thing I want to achieve with this upgrade is to remove this pole that my camera lives on that I use as a webcam. The reason that the camera lives on this pole in the first place is that I originally tried to mount it to the back of the screen using a GoPro mount. But after a few weeks, the adhesive always got a little bit too soft and the camera started falling down, which obviously is not ideal. We're going to address this issue by basically taking a super clamp and attaching it to the mount of the monitor that will make the camera hover above the screen without any pole. And lastly, we're going to tidy up all of this cable mess down here by adding cable guides to the bottom of the desk. Let's get started by disassembling everything. The first thing we're going to figure out is how to mount the Mac Studio underneath the desk. I already flipped the desk around and now we just need to find the right spot to basically drill the holder into the desk.
Run to where we belong, I told you, you are the one. You're my satellite, won't you take me higher than the sun? We can go all night till we find our light and show everyone. Nobody does it like us. When you're feeling down, I know I won't let go. I will catch you when you're spinning out. 'Cause it's the love we found. It's worth more than gold, better than anything I've ever known. When the world's too loud and I need a home, you will be the one that I can call. When the days are long and I've had
Let's wrap up this video with a quick setup tour. I just edited the first half of this video on the new setup, so I have a little bit of a first impressions, but this is not a review or anything. First of all, let's start with the desk. This is still the same old IKEA desk plate that I already had in the last setup tour. Now it really looks like a Swiss cheese because it has a bunch of holes in the bottom from multiple iterations of this desk, but it's still holding up and it still is in good condition, so I'm still keeping it. I also still have the same flexi spot standing desk. I do regret not getting the automatic version a little bit, because having it manual really discourages having short standing sessions, like 30 minutes or so. And secondly, getting it just right is way harder with the manual version. I still think that it's the more sort of sustainable thing to do, because this will never break on me, whereas the electronic version probably would at some point. But anyway, just from a productivity standpoint and really making the best out of the standing desk, I think getting the automatic version is probably a good idea. Next, we have the keyboard and the mouse. This is the Logitech MX keys and the Logitech MX Master 3. We now also have the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, which so far I've been really liking. Then we have the two new monitors. These are the Adam Audio T5V. And from listening to a couple of tracks and editing the first half of this video, I really do like them. However, I think I will need to decouple them from the desk plate. I already suspected that I would have to do that, but I didn't find a good solution yet, so I will need to be looking for that in the future. The webcam for me is a Canon M6 with an EFM22 f2 lens. I really like this setup because it gives me a nice 4K clean HDMI out, and essentially with my job I'm like a professional business streamer, I guess. I'm in meetings so much that it's really worth it getting a nice setup, and this has served me super well so far. There are probably much cheaper ways to get a nice streaming cam, but I also wanted to be able to use this as a small portable camera and B-cam. So I'm really happy with this, and yeah, for me it's just Canon. Then to the microphone. This is a Samsung C01. I switch this microphone out quite a lot. Currently it's this one because it's cheap and really easy to handle, but sometimes I also use a Rode NT1 or I use this shotgun mic. Then underneath the desk hidden here, we have a Focusrite Scarlet 2i2, which is my interface of choice, driving this microphone and also these speakers now, combined with the same biodynamic DT770 Pro headphones that I've been using in the last setup tour. What I also added since the last time is that I have a little IKEA shortcut button somewhere here under the desk that I can press and basically have all the lights just set up for my meetings and stuff like that. Finally, I quickly want to talk about how I'm powering these speakers. They are usually always on, and I find this a little bit wasteful in terms of power, and since in Germany power is really expensive, I thought I'd come up with a cool solution to fix this. So I have a smart plug underneath the desk that's actually connected to both of these speakers at the same time, and I have a shortcut on my Mac that turns them on and off when the Mac goes to sleep and wakes up. Unfortunately, currently macOS can't automate shortcuts out of the box, so I'm using an app called Shortery to take care of this. It's not free if you want all of the functions, but I think with the free version you can already get quite far. And so basically what happens is, if I lock my Mac, it will automatically turn off the speakers. I don't know if you just heard that little click, but they're off now. And then the moment I unlock it again, I just hit the spacebar for example, my Apple Watch unlocks it. Here we go, and immediately they are back on. So it's honestly the easiest solution, I think. It turns the speakers on and off really nicely and seamlessly for me, and I'm saving as much power as I can possibly save. In the future, I'll probably automate some of the lights as well to go with this unlock and lock thing. So yeah, this is it. This is my new desk setup. It's running 2 cables to the floor, power and Ethernet and nothing else. And I really like it. Let's see how it holds up in the next weeks. And maybe if anything interesting comes up, I'll do a review. So if you're interested, subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.